Now let's take a look at the test cases themselves and see how we can achieve this. Now, we want to make sure this is a short video, so I'll just go through a few of them quickly. But the key aspect is that there's a good amount of variety with regards to the test cases you might want to generate, and specific use cases can be modified and customized to adhere to specific guidelines or governance. Of course, from our perspective, I just want to showcase a few types of test cases. Do note that customizability is built into the product. The first type of use case is with regards to validity of the BI reports themselves in terms of the numbers, the most critical aspect, the numbers seen in, say, reports or in graphs. So I have a couple of examples for this, and I'll quickly go through them. The key aspect is that I want to make sure that the numbers I see in said graphs is valid. Now, this is a simple graph for our starting. And the key aspect is that it's very easy for an end user to go in and just select data sets, which are the export of these BI tools. You'll see we're at 26590. This is not OCR. This is working with the underlying REST APIs and JavaScript APIs. And to kind of further double down on it, if I apply a filter, we see that the embedded version of the report has been altered, and so has the data within the data sets that is exported. So this illustrates that we are working after filters, slicers, and even potentially rollable security being applied. And the same point is applicable to Tableau as well. I'll showcase that example shortly. So the first step of our use case is to fetch our information from Power BI. So in this example, I can fetch all of them. And the second step is comparing against our golden records. Now, our golden records could be any of the sources that you were seeing earlier, and you could process these golden records in SQL, Python, Scala, and any other system as well. To this end, I have created my first example where Snowflake rise as the golden records and a simple aggregate is created to illustrate what the aggregation in Power BI is. But let's double down on this. What exactly do we mean by this? Well, in its sister example, I have the exact same use case, albeit I'm working with a much more complex BI report for the sake of illustration. The key aspect is that you might not have aggregates themselves in a raw data set. You might have records, and you can't compare 1,000,000 records against 500 aggregates without the aggregation logic. To help facilitate this aggregation, the application comes with Copilots, which can be run within your infrastructure itself in an air-gapped solution architecture. And here it's very easy for the application to understand this instructions, which could be as simple as, hey, this is a Power BI data set that I've received. Recreate this from the raw data that I've provided. And in a few prompts, the application has given us exactly what we would want. And so at this point, I have an aggregation from my golden layer. This could be, once again, this could be a database, this could be a file, this could be a table, it could be a combination of the same as well. The key aspect is that we have our aggregation, our source of truth. Now, one of the principles of validation is reconciliation, where we compare against a source of truth, and that is what we do within data compare. This node can be used to compare billions of records in parallel as well. There's a lot of scalability built into the product. And what this also adds in terms of, say, user experience is that you don't have to worry about column name mismatches, your type mismatches, thresholding, rounding, and a lot of other things that you might have to worry about when doing this manually. Most of it is done in an automated fashion, but it does allow you to edit and change a lot of things in hand itself. Result, the application has captured mismatches and matched records. And not just that, it has segregated the good and bad records into different data sets. Now, this example is handpicked because it's illustrating that we can calculate differences even in minute use cases. However, if you want to round values or if you want to set thresholds, that is an option within our application as well, where you can customize your thresholds and define how much of a difference defines a bad record or a mismatch. The application is going to segregate good and bad records, missing records, and records which are duplicate. And then you can choose what the post-validation process is. Do you want to save them or do you want to archive them? Would you like to in parallel raise notifications, send tickets, or maybe create some tasks in, say, potentially Azure DevOps pipeline or anything like that? You have support for a lot more than that. Each test case you run has an associated run history and a proper report that we will look into shortly. Parallel example here with Tableau, just to illustrate that the same aspect is possible. Here in the Excel file, I have a lot of aggregates built in. And the use case here is that I want to make sure each and every aggregate which is present in this Tableau report right here is valid. It's a sister report of our Power BI version. And we want to make sure that all of these are comparable and valid. And so that's what we do. We pick up all the KPIs and chart data in this particular use case. And then we run a comparison against all of them with regards to our golden records. And then we see if this is a match or a mismatch. In some cases, you might be working with minute mismatches where you might want to define some threshold. In other cases, the application has found out really important issues within the system, and of course, missing records as well, records which are present in your report, absent in your data, or the other way around. So in this way, we make sure that we can run validation in terms of the data within your reports. And this is primarily in terms of reconciliation.
For further questions, feel free to reach contact@datagaps.com. Request a free demo, scan the QR code below. Thank you.